Hi, my name is Alan Sides, and I'm an engineer-producer, and I own Ocean Way Studios here in Hollywood, Record One Studios in Sherman Oaks, Ocean Way Studios in Nashville, and Ocean Way St. Bart's. 30 to 40% of what we do is still mixed in the analog domain. But the other thing I would say is that almost everything that we do in regards to pop, R&B, or film scores that we do are all mixed still in the analog domain. Even though they're digital sources, they're mixed to an analog console. You know, unusual signal paths. We like very simple paths that are preferably discrete with, you know, the best quality possible. I'm known as a bit of a snob on that level, and much of what we have at Ocean Way we custom build from scratch to get what we want, or we take existing equipment and we modify it to meet our specifications. But in the end, it's the end result is the most important thing, and how you get there is somewhat irrelevant, and even though I'm very audiophile, I'm willing to try almost anything to get to that finished product, because all that matters is how great that record sounds at the end. I just say I'm not a purist in regard to a particular method of getting to something, but I just do find that simplicity often is the key to excellence. Bernie Grumman and I have been friends, and Bernie has been my mastering engineer of choice for many, many years. And I think Bernie's ability to maximize, you know, level, in other words, to be competitive, you still need a CD that's relatively loud, but there's a finite amount. If you go beyond that, basically you end up with mush. And I would say that Bernie's ability to get the most level that you can and still have impact and punch is striking. Bernie's very, very good at that. The other thing that's unique about Bernie is that every piece of equipment that he uses is basically custom built. The way I approach things and the way Ocean Way Studios approach things, I think that Bernie and I come from the same place in that regard. Well, I would just say, you know, where things have gone, I would say, isn't necessarily a plus sonically. What I mean by this, it's always been, I mean, through the history of pop music, a fight for volume, a fight for level. And what's happened, particularly in alternative rock and R&B pop, is that everybody wants it as loud as they can get it, but they sacrifice dynamic range. So it's a funny thing, if you listen to sort of 80s rock on the radio, it actually sounds much more impressive than what you hear now. Most alternative rock, you'll hear a song and the intro comes on, sounds pretty good, but it hits the chorus and it sounds like it's underwater. It sounds smaller than the verse. And so we paid a horrible price for this level. And to some degree also, I would say that making it that loud is more to satisfy the A&R folks, the labels, than it is to have it sound great on the radio, because the radio compresses it anyway. So to be honest with you, if you played something that had, you know, more dynamic range as compared to something that's completely compressed, the one that has more dynamic range will actually sound better on the radio. Less is almost always more.